My name's Anne Neville. I've been a vet for over 40 years and I became disenchanted with the efficacy of Western medicine after the first 20. I decided that I would do something that would enlarge my appreciation of good ideas that were out there. So I did a fairly casual acupuncture course and immediately fell in love with acupuncture. And one of the parting comments from that acupuncture course was, just give it a try. Pick something easy. Just pick hip dysplasia. Put in 3 points to do with hip dysplasia. This is called window to the sky at this point here, and it helps her not be nervous because she's old and a lot of old dogs get quite fidgety and we need them to be still. And you will see the difference in the dog. It's interesting because only about 5% of people who study acupuncture actually ever get to practice it, and probably fewer still love it the way I do. But I followed those directions and I thought, all right, pick hip dysplasia, plenty of it around. And I started putting in 3 or 4 needles. And the people would come back next week, mostly, and say, my dog is much better. So, you know, like who wouldn't be interested in something that was that harmless? And with Tiggy today, you see a dog that came in, she'd been in pain since she was about 1. She was very, very stiff and very unhappy. You know, her whole body looked as if life was no longer worth living, and that's probably why Julia brought her to us, because she was looking just so grim and entrapped in her own body. And Julia was a very marked skeptic, and she kept saying to me, which aggravated me a bit, but why is it working? You know, in this sort of tone, like, why is it working? You know, all you're doing is putting in 4 little needles. Why is it working? Anyway, she's still here 10 years later, and Tiggy is still happy at the age of 17, which is excellent for a big dog. It's people like Julia who talk to their friends, and it's the word of mouth advertising which has built our clinic into being a very busy alternative vet clinic. We still do lots of surgery, lots of x-rays, but the first step is to see what we can move in the way of disease by simple things, you know, by diet, by herbs, by weight loss, by common sense. Tiger first came here about 10 years ago, and Julia was highly skeptical, and she kept saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Do you think it'll work? And then, you know, as with other dogs, the dog looked a bit better, so she came back, and then when it was obviously working, she kept saying to me, yes, but why is it working? Why? I don't understand this. So it was quite soon that Tiger was off most of the painkillers, and those painkillers would have not helped her liver, her bowel, her kidney, and she would not be here at 17. So, and she would not be happy at 17. I think anybody who can say exactly how acupuncture works is creating a construct which may or may not be true. We know that there are acupuncture points distributed over the body. When I learned acupuncture, which is about 20 years ago, they had already found them under the electron microscope. They could already see these little sort of funnel-shaped structures, and they were about 2 millimeters across. And when they dissected out these microscopic structures and analysed them, they found that there were endomorphs in them, and those endomorphs came in different types for different points. I mean, you could say God created reset buttons, and that would be such a nice construct. Perhaps it's true, but they are in the body. They do help to reset the body, and they help with pain, they help with mobility, they help with the energy flow and the function of different organs. Give a bit of thanks every day for their reality.
My name's Julia Murray, and this is my dear old dog Tiger, who I've had since she was a puppy, 3-month-old puppy from the Lost Dogs Home. And a friend who was a doctor noticed that she was uncomfortable as a young dog walking and thought she might have hip dysplasia. So I took her to the local vet, and they x-rayed and said, I'm afraid your dog's got this congenital spinal deformity called spondylitis, severe arthritic deformity of the lower back. and said all you can do is put her on heavy painkillers. She'd still scream trying to get into the car. I came to Anne thinking, how's all this acupuncture stuff supposed to work? Poor Anne, no sooner had I walked in the door, I'm demanding to know how acupuncture works, you know, kind of intensive school of medicine. Anyway, she did her best to explain. As she was putting the needles in, she said, Tiger will start panting on cue. Tiger just happily starts panting. Anyway, 2 weeks later, no more painkillers, no more squealing and agony. And we've been coming to Anne with great success for this old dog, which has lived way beyond, you know, large dogs normally don't live to nearly 16. I mean, you know, she's obviously got arthritis, but boy, the fact that she's not in pain is a miracle, really, just amazing.